Anthony Bourdain, the man who taught us the world, but couldn't escape himself. Have you ever met someone who seemed completely fearless? Someone who could walk into the most unfamiliar places on earth, sit down with strangers, share a meal, and somehow make the entire world feel connected. That's exactly who Anthony Bourdain appeared to be. But behind the laughter, the adventures, and the unforgettable television moments was a man fighting battles that almost no one could see. Today, I want to tell you the incredible and heartbreaking story of Anthony Bourdain, a man who changed the way millions of people looked at food, travel, and humanity. Anthony Michael Bourdain was born on June 25, 1956, in New York City. He grew up in a middle-class family in New Jersey, and like many kids, he wasn't sure what he wanted to become. But everything changed during a family trip to France. One simple meal, an oyster eaten fresh from the sea, opened his eyes to a completely different world. That single experience sparked a lifelong passion for food, culture, and adventure. As a young man, Bourdain wasn't the perfect student. He loved excitement, took risks, and often found himself searching for purpose. Eventually, he enrolled at the Culinary Institute of America, where he discovered that cooking wasn't just a job, it was a calling. After graduating, Anthony worked in restaurant kitchens across New York City. But life behind the scenes wasn't glamorous. The hours were brutal, the kitchens were stressful, the pressure never stopped. Like many chefs of that era, he struggled with addiction and made choices that nearly destroyed his future. There were moments when it seemed like he might never escape that life. But Anthony refused to let his mistakes define him. Through determination and hard work, he rebuilt his career and became the executive chef at Brasserie Les Halles in Manhattan. He earned respect in the culinary world, but outside the restaurant industry, very few people knew. In 1999, Anthony wrote an article titled "Don't Eat Before Reading This." It revealed the hidden reality of restaurant kitchens, the chaos, the pressure, the secrets, and the personalities behind every meal. Readers couldn't stop talking about it. The article became a sensation. Encouraged by its success, he expanded those stories into a book called Kitchen Confidential. It became a bestseller almost overnight. Suddenly, Anthony Bourdain wasn't just a chef. He was a storyteller. But Anthony wasn't interested in becoming another celebrity chef standing in a fancy kitchen. He wanted something deeper. He wanted to explore the world. Television producers quickly recognized his unique style. Instead of focusing only on expensive restaurants, Anthony traveled to places many people had never even heard of. He sat in tiny family kitchens, busy street markets, remote villages, and crowded neighborhoods. He believed that sharing a meal was one of the most powerful ways to understand another person. Whether he was eating noodles in Vietnam, barbecue in Texas, sushi in Japan, or homemade bread in the Middle East, Anthony never acted like he knew everything. He listened. He asked questions. He respected local traditions. And that made millions of viewers fall in love with him. Shows like No Reservations, The Layover, and later Parts Unknown became worldwide hits. Anthony wasn't just showing beautiful destinations. He was telling human stories. He met fishermen, taxi drivers, grandmothers, refugees, artists, and everyday people whose lives were rarely shown on television. He reminded us that despite our differences, food could bring us together. His words were thoughtful, his humor was sharp, and his curiosity inspired millions to see the world with more compassion. But even while inspiring others, Anthony continued fighting private struggles. Success didn't erase loneliness. Fame didn't guarantee happiness. Many people assumed that because he traveled constantly and smiled on camera, he must have been living the perfect life. The truth was far more complicated. Anthony often spoke openly about anxiety, self-doubt, and the emotional challenges that followed him throughout his life. He believed in honesty, even when the truth was uncomfortable. Then came the morning of June 8, 2018. Anthony Bourdain was in France filming another episode of Parts Unknown. When the news broke that he had died at the age of 61, millions of people around the world were shocked. Fans couldn't believe it. Friends were heartbroken. The world had lost one of its greatest storytellers. His passing sparked conversations about mental health, reminding people that pain isn't always visible. Someone can appear successful, admired, and accomplished while quietly struggling inside. Anthony's death wasn't the end of his impact. If anything, his legacy became even stronger. Today, millions continue watching his shows, reading his books, and sharing his quotes because Anthony gave people something far more valuable than cooking advice. He gave them perspective. He encouraged people to leave their comfort zones, to talk with strangers, to respect cultures different from their own, to judge less, to listen more, and to understand that every person has a story worth hearing. One of Anthony's most famous beliefs was that travel changes people, not because of famous landmarks, but because of the people you meet along the way. That's why his documentaries still feel timeless. He didn't chase perfection, he chased authenticity. He showed us that the best meals aren't always served in luxury restaurants. Sometimes they're cooked by a family you've never met, in a place you've never heard of, with ingredients you've never tasted. Those moments became memories that lasted forever. Anthony Bourdain wasn't a superhero. He wasn't perfect. He made mistakes. He faced addiction. He battled emotional pain. But he also inspired millions to become more open-minded, adventurous, and compassionate. His life reminds us that success doesn't make someone immune to struggle. It also reminds us that kindness, curiosity, and human connection can change the way we see the world. Whenever you watch one of his journeys, remember that Anthony wasn't just exploring different countries. He was exploring humanity itself. And maybe that's why his story continues to touch so many hearts. Thank you for watching. If Anthony Bourdain's journey inspired you, take a moment to appreciate the people around you, stay curious about the world, and never underestimate the power of a simple conversation over a shared meal. Because sometimes, the greatest journeys aren't measured by the miles we travel, but by the lives we touch along the way.